teachers, the teachers, the teachers, the teachers.
My brothers and sisters of color, we gotta do better. No survival in this era if we turning on each other. Like a family reunited, they hate it when we together. Down, let's talk about it. Listen to the teachers, let them tell you. You want facts behind your questions, Dr. Rick, give them the answer. Followed by wise words, introducing Dr. Michael Blanchard. Many guests and activists every week leading by example. When there's problems, there's solutions. Together we are the answer.
The teachers.
Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick Wallace, and alongside me is my counterpart, Michael Blanchard. And today we have with us Sherry Hill, who is an author, a motivational speaker, hurricane survivor, former coordinator for the South Central region of the Professional Football Players Mothers Association, affectionately known as NFL Mom. She's also the recipient of Newsom's Award Honor in 2016 in Baltimore, Maryland. But most importantly, she is the proud mother of the late NFL player Marquise Hill, who was unfortunately killed in 2007 in a jet ski accident on Lake Pontchartrain. Also with us is a dynamic person in her own right, actress, singer, director, writer, producer, and philanthropist, Bonita Brisker, who is also the co-founder and president of AgriSmart Incorporated, an international management and farming company in Cote d'Ivoire, Africa. She has worked with some greats like Martin Landau, Mark Rydell, Ellen Burstyn, Al Pacino, and more. She's done over 70 plays. And the story behind how these two ladies came together and why they're on the same show is in itself extraordinary. Dr. Blanchard brought both of them to my attention. He seems to be the talent scout for the show. I just show up. But we've had some technical difficulties, so we're a little late getting on, and we may have some as we move forward. Just work with us. This story is worth hearing. It's definitely worth telling, and we're happy to be a part of it. So, Doc, I'm going to let you take it from here, and I'm going to slide back.
All right.
And then I'll get in where I fit in.
First, Sherry, I'm glad you're here, and Bonita also, I'm glad you're here as well. I struggled with having you both on because once I saw your bios, each of you actually could have been a separate show. But I wanted to have Bonita on because she's paramount in you doing an actual movie on your son's life. But, we'll get to that in a minute. Both of you have also worked in the area of overcoming loss and trauma, I see. When I look at Bonita's body of work, and I look at your body of work with the 3 books, and I'm going to hold them up. The book, Marquise Hill Story, From the Cradle to the Bowl, Journey to Mount Freedom, and The Linesman. When I read through these books and I looked through Miss Brisker's bio, the thing that stood out to me was you all are helping people overcome loss and trauma. And that's something that we definitely need in our community. So I'll start out with Sherry, and then I'll bring you in, Ms. Brisker. And the first thing I want to ask Sherry is to tell our viewers where you're from and your family upbringing. And when did you decide you wanted to actually write?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think your mic is off.
State is Alabama.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
But I've been in New Orleans over 40 years. My son was born in Louisiana. My my intentions were not to write the book. I just happened to start writing it 3 days before my son's accident. I'm actually an art major. I usually paint portraits and stuff, but I veered off into something else. Yeah, but it wasn't my intentions. But I had to write it after I started writing it before his death, and so I just been a single mom. So I just kind of like advocate and work with single mothers and go to different institutions like prisons or what teenagers are, juvenile detention centers and schools. I'm a former teacher as well.
Okay.
So I'm used to the youth, and that's where I like to do a lot of my work. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So I want to ask you about.
Stay here.
Yeah, I hear you. I want to ask you about a quote from the Journey to Mount Freedom. It talks about the reason you left. I want to read that to you and to ask you a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "When I look at the picture of your silhouette in the sunset on the lake, it puts me in a daze. Although it has been a few years since you left me, son, it seems like yesterday. The signs were there, I can say. The pain hasn't left me, but I have learned to live with it anyway. It was hard to accept the reason why you left me, but every now and then, in a quick notice or stare, the Lord's..."
Hey, Doc, they're saying, for some reason, they're saying they can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
But they can't hear us for some reason.
Bonita has a problem hearing.
Her mic is off. Maybe
Well,
her mic is off.
Can you hear now? But her mic shouldn't have anything to do with her hearing, though.
Now she can't. We can't hear her now.
It's audio.
Have her check. Yeah.
Call her and tell her to log out and log back in. Her audio didn't pick up on either side. That's why she can't hear.
Okay.
It knocked out. So let's see.
He said your audio, it didn't log in.
So
go in and out.
Tell her to log out and log back in.
Log out and log back in.
Let me, maybe I need to log in again.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Log in, log out and then log back in, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. She said she's gonna try it.
Okay.
I didn't log out or log in, but I do hear you now. Can you hear me?
You hear us now?
Okay, good. All right.
Awesome.
Great.
So yeah, Sherry, I was reading the section in the book on the reason you left. What motivated you to write that in the book?
Oh, the reason you left. Oh,
Yeah. What was
I
your
was kind
motivation?
of reminiscing. I was just reminiscing of my son leaving, and I just kind of like start doing poems. But one thing we had discussed, my son, I had a dream about 8 or 9 years ago, and I dreamed of a huge film, but I didn't know who was in the film. And then I asked him one time, was he planning on being an actor? So I saw him in a movie. So I don't know. I guess I was just reminiscing off of that after his death, and I think that's mostly what motivated me.
Tell us a little bit about Marquise growing up, like his childhood, elementary, junior high, high school. What type of young man was he growing up?
Marquise, I try to put everything in kind of chronological order in the book, but he grew real fast. He was about my size at 8 years old.
Wow.
Every time when he was in the 7th and 6th grade, they always thought he was the assistant teacher because he was walking around there and the kids was standing behind him in the bottom,
Yeah.
So he's always been fast growing. And I say about 12 or 13 years old, he was like 6'5". So he had a lot of trauma during school, which I didn't realize it until he confessed to me. And that was heartbreaking. And matter of fact, it was 2 incidents. One school that they recruited him, they started recruiting him in junior high school. And the school that he was recruited to was out of this area, and it was in another area, and it was real racist. And that's this place where he got arrested. And I was upset about that. But to make a long story short, he pretty much checked his own self out at the school because the principal told him, just sit back there and learn football. Don't worry about books. And he felt that was an insult. And in the 8th grade, I thought that was very mature, understanding where you want to go in life. You don't want nobody to just pass you over because of your physical ability.
Right.
Did you first I know you did. I didn't hear.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm waiting on you to say something. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, when did you first know he was special in terms of an athlete and a student?
Pretty much I didn't, because I didn't want him to play nothing. I just told him I didn't think football was good, and because I was afraid of him getting hurt. So, but my brothers, I have 4 brothers, and my brother played at Alabama, and my brother was the last player on Bear Bryant's team. He was the pallbearer, but football kind of ran in my family. So, if it was left up to me, he wouldn't have never played football. So, I was just trying to keep food on the table, because one time he told us he was sick and he was playing football in high school. And he said, Mom, I don't feel like going to church. And we came home, my mom had cooked 2 hens, and we got back with nothing left but their back. My mother said, you're not that sick. so trying to feed.
I can imagine.
So what role?
Bicycles. I stopped buying bikes. That was over. I said, if they're not made out of steel, I'm not buying no more bikes. That's it. This is over with.
What role did spirituality play in you and Marquise's life?
Oh, it played a major role. I was raised in a God-fearing family, and we made sure that my son carried that, in his life. Always respected the elderly, helped the elderly. It played a major role. We are God-fearing people. My family is, and we try to stay around those type of people as well. But it played a major role.
Hey, Doc, I have a question. And I may be jumping forward, and you guys can always jump backwards, but you know me. I may be jumping forward, but I want to make sure that we get, in the time we have, a panoramic view of this entire story. So my question is, how did you become connected with Bonita Brisker? And how has that played out since you two came together? Because it's funny, when I start to talk about the two of you, both of you smile. and so that tells me that there's definitely a connection there. So tell me how that came about. And then Ms. Brisker, you can tell me why you're passionate about doing what you're doing with Sherry.
Okay, she could answer that.
Because can I ask you a question first? Because I may need to log off and log back in, because is it only me having technical difficulties hearing you and the computer freezing? Is it me, or is everybody experiencing?
No, it's only happening with you, and it's intermittent. It may be a Wi-Fi bandwidth issue. It happens sporadically. Even if you've got good Wi-Fi, it could just be that moment when everybody around is using a particular band. But yeah, it's some background noise with
I've never
you, and you're
had
freezing
the
up.
issue. I never had the issue, so I'm wondering maybe I should get off, and it seems like it went away because it's a lot of static. It's a lot of
Yeah,
freezing. I don't hear. I feel like I'm not participating because I can't hear you guys. But suddenly, boom, it's clear. So, but
yeah,
that's because I think as it comes to me and I'm speaking, but when it's on you guys, I'm so sorry. I can't hear, and it's a lot of static.
yeah. Try to log out and come back in. Log out completely and come back in. Sometimes the system doesn't pick up the audio correctly.
For
And see, we lost her again.
Is she coming?
Yeah. Yeah. We lost her. No, we can't hear you.
Yeah, log off. Yep, log back off and back on.
Okay, we can go ahead and proceed. We'll get back to that when she comes back on. So, I guess, how did you guys meet?
Well, Bonita was she been between Maryland and California. She has a entertainment business out there. And it was a friend of hers that lived in Texas that knew me, and he used to work with her. So that's how we kind of connected. He put us together. Matter of fact, he sent her my book.
Okay.
And after we met, guess what? My son born on her birthday. So she think it's well, she feel like it's automatic connection.
Right.
I know that part.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences either. But yeah, Doc, that's what I want to know. I just want to kind of know how that connection came about. So you can jump back to where you were.
Okay. So Sherry, May 28th, 2007, that was actually my 41st birthday. But that was also a day that I know that date resonates with you. Tell us about how that day started for you and what transpired on that day, May 28th, 2007.
When my son had flew in from Baltimore, for the Memorial Weekend. And matter of fact, he had just signed a couple of T-shirts for a fan. And it was a pretty day that day. And he said, Mom, I'm going to tell them to go get me a marker because somebody came up to him because they came to the house and they wanted him to sign. So he signed. And I think that happened the day before. And then the next day, he told me he wanted to go jet skiing, but I didn't want him on a jet ski. I didn't want him with a jet ski. The guy, the salesman, had came all the way from the airport. The other doctor there, I know, he said he's been to New Orleans before, so he know how far that can be. He drove all the way from the airport to bring my son out there to get this jet ski. He left his job. And he and I, the guy, had it. We had it out. I told him, I said, I want my son with a jet ski. Why did you follow him home with a jet ski? Didn't even give him a jacket. I see, I was very angry and upset about it. And to make a long story short, that's when he bought this jet ski. Once he got it, we was in the middle of Katrina. This was 2 years after Katrina.
Right.
So the jet ski had sat there a while. And then he decided he want to go out and do a little jet skiing. But see, my son always lived near water. He loved to swim. He was an excellent swimmer. And we had an argument about him getting on the jet ski again. I told him I didn't want him on the jet ski. And I told him, I said, Marquise, I said, when something don't start, That means it's not good to go on it. Oh, Mama, you're always superstitious. You're always superstitious. I said, I'm not superstitious. I'm just saying what old people used to say. Sure enough, he got it started. Then when he got it started, you know the trailer that you roll it on?
Mhm.
The tire went out. And I didn't know that until the guy around the corner at the Tire Kingdom. That's before they changed it from NTB or NSTB or whatever that place is. He told me that, he said, Miss Hill, this tire went out on that thing. So I was at home. We had people over. We had barbecue, blah, blah, blah. It was a Memorial weekend. And I know it was getting dark, and I just got that call from the lakefront. They he was out there with a classmate. It wasn't his girlfriend. And they told me, they said, Miss Hill, Marquise been involved in an accident. They didn't tell me they couldn't find his body. So I just lost it from there. And, I went out there, but it was dark. So I just came back home. But he saved the girl in the middle of all of it. And we were just sitting around. We were looking at videos and stuff like that, doing a normal thing. And they found his body that next morning. It missed on that Sunday. And Memorial Weekend, that Monday was going to be Memorial Day. I think they found his body that Monday or that Tuesday, yeah. And believe me, it's a life-changing story. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, I can't explain the feeling. Since that time, I had 2 cousins to lose their sons. One lost her daughter, and one lost her son. And she said, Sherry, I was here for your son's funeral, but I didn't know it felt this way, until it happened to me. So you expect your children to bury you, not you bury them. So
Absolutely.
it's very difficult. That's Bonita calling me.
Okay. Go ahead. You take it.
Hello? It said the link is not in the body of the email anymore. They can send it. He gonna send it now. Okay. She said okay.
Yeah, y'all can go ahead.
Yeah. What type of support did you have, and what type of support do parents or anyone do you think they need during that time? What helped you through all of this, and what continues to help you?
At that time, my mom was living. Prayer is the only thing that really got me through. My book really helped me a lot. I mean, because I had to deal with all, I call it the dirtiness of the business, but I mean, what it is what it is. You call a spade, and that's what I call it. But it wasn't no support system. I mean, you have parents in this where I live at, this kind of what you call Mayberry out here, but it's mostly white, not a lot of blacks. And that's something that they do have a grieving, but I wasn't familiar with it. But this happened before I moved over here. So, that was past tense. I moved over here right after, I'll say about a year after his death, maybe 6 months. But I didn't connect, but I was still working with the government at the time. So, but I didn't really have no support. Basically, I did a whole year of writing with my book because I had all the chapters written out and the title of the book written out when the accident happened. So I was just adamant about getting it done. So that's what I did. So for a whole year, I was pretty much zoned out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with trauma in my line of work, one of the hardest things I've had to do for a couple of my friends, is help them get through burying their children, which is probably the most unnatural thing that you can do in life. Is
Right.
bury a child. I haven't experienced it, but I have worked with three friends. One, his daughter died at 19 from cancer. Another one, her son was murdered at
Mhm.
19, and the other lost hers in a car accident.
Right.
And you never, I don't think you ever wrap your head around it completely. I don't think you do. I dealt with a couple people who are well into it, probably like almost 20 years into it, and you're still looking at it, and it's a faded cloud, and you're going over all the things that happened that shouldn't have happened for it to happen.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that really underwrote you and stabilized you was the book. You had something to invest yourself in that was connected to him, that literally allowed him to live
Yeah.
after the
You're right.
fact. And so that's the thing you have to do when you're dealing with trauma at that level. You've got to find a way to make it work and make sense for you, or it eats you up. And so you having that book for a year after you losing him, you still had him close.
Yeah.
Every day you're engaging him in a way that you can, and the biggest part of it is you controlled it. Control is real big when dealing with trauma. The less in control you feel, the more traumatized you become. And so you just happen to be in a situation. It's almost like God was preparing you, because you said that you had actually started writing it a few days before it happened. So literally God was preparing you, like, hey, you're going to need this right now. It's something you're just doing, but it's eventually going to become your life. And it opened doors for you, and it connected you with people. I think we finally have Bonita back on. Looks like everything is going good.
Oh my goodness.
There she is.
All right.
Yeah. So Doc, continue on.
Yeah. So Bonita, we want to bring you back in. Tell us about the relationship you have with Sherry and what you all are up to. Give us the inside scoop as to when we can expect this movie, because I know you're a producer, you're an actress, you're a writer. What's going on behind the scenes, if you can give us a sneak peek?
Absolutely. And if you could just give me 10 seconds, 20 seconds to thank you, because I know I'm behind. My technology was awful. My computer crashed, so I used my cell phone and it let me down. I couldn't hear one thing. I don't know where you are, but I'm not going to waste time on anything. But I want to thank you guys. It's such a pleasure to meet both of you, Dr. Rick and Dr. Blanchard. Obviously, you men are prolific and touching lives of everyone, our youth, and assisting us and uplifting. I came in on you encouraging Sherry. And it's really important what the work that you're doing. It's too early, hair in my face, and aspire us to our higher selves and get through this thing called life, because we've all suffered tragedies, and your work is just, I'm really happy. I didn't have a lot of time to do this, but I wanted to meet you guys, and the work that you're doing, I was just really happy to be a part of it. So and to answer your question, we are in the development stage of the Marquise Hill story, and I call it the Sherry Hill story also, because it's really a prolific story. Her life, her writing the book. I came in on you talking about her writing the book, and her son's story, Sherry's story, is one to be told. I'm really extremely proud to be a part of it. In his very short lifetime, he made such an impact on the world, not only because of his talented abilities as a standout football player, but his abilities as his standout characteristic of being just a standout human being. As Sherry, as she raised this gentle giant, as you talked about her being an author of these, several books. It was very when I read to me by a friend, and I read the book, and it mesmerized me. I said, we got to bring this story to life. It's a story of true love. It's a story of heartbreak. It's a story of um, you know overcoming the tragedy of her son's death. It talks about a mother's pain, very deep inside the core of her soul. It's a story of survival. It's a story of a surviving spirit, a story of strength. So naturally, I was drawn to this, and as I said, we're in the development stage of producing this together, and we are a little way from it. It ways from the production. We're talking to several companies about it. The script is being written. We're having some fantastic meetings with some heavy hitters about it, and I think it's gonna turn out to be something really, really, really special. So we're taking our time with it, and we're not rushing the process. It takes a long time
Yeah.
to do something, to produce a film, and especially when you want to do it on the level that we've decided to do it on, because nowadays, with the advent of these cameras that can shoot a film, and you can get things done for a lot less money, we want to keep it on a level of the films that that we see on the big screen, and we want
Right.
to shoot it in film. We may decide to go to digital, but we want to shoot it in film and 70 millimeter if we can, and we want to make it as a football story. It's a coming of age story, so we really want to do it justice. So you can expect something, within the next coming years. It'd be awesome. We get so close. People say, we want to do this and we're going to do it, and then they don't come up with the money. So we have two plans. We're going to shoot it ourselves with the help of some independent filmmakers, and use our own money, or we're going to get some studio money. We prefer to get the studio money and do it on our own. So
Right. I mean, have you had a chance to tell her about Tony? Dot?
No, I haven't, and that's something we'll have a conversation
Yeah.
about.
He has been able to pull some pretty exciting things off. He's a filmmaker and independent filmmaker out of New York, and he's pretty creative in the way that he's been able to executive produce his work. So just another pathway. And the things that you are talking about, I think is extremely important, because the story, everything that I've been able to gather, because I've been talking to some people, I have a background in sports and athletics as well. And so I know a lot of people who were in the league around the time that he was. And so I've just been asking, hey, I haven't found anybody that didn't like him. That's the first thing that pops out is he's likable, he's approachable, so when you have somebody like that, they didn't just live their lives, they touched lives.
He touched a lot of lives.
And the mother's story is always going to resonate because we have so many single Black moms that know what it's like to raise a Black man in a white man's world, and what that means and how scary it is. And she was just talking while you were trying to get things straight out. She was just talking about all the little protective things she was trying to do. And there's this thing that when it comes to being a male, there are things we're going to go search out and do, and mama's going, don't do it, all the way from playing football to getting on that jet ski. And the thing is, what she has is the love she poured into him. We didn't have him long, but you see it in the way he lived his life. And I just believe, and this is me, that this production is going to expose the love which the Black community needs so terribly, is love. And to see it, and nobody pointing fingers and nobody talking anybody down, but just talking about what it's like to persevere. We're not even realizing that this is 2 years on the heel of Katrina.
Yeah, exactly. And he did some amazing things during that time. I don't know if Sherry mentioned some of those things. It's going to be in the story, obviously, but yeah, the name of the script. We're tossing around many titles after Katrina. is one of the titles that we had. The Super Bowl after Katrina. We've tossed around a lot of titles because he did some amazing things for the survivors of Katrina. And he reached out, he built homes, he did a lot of things for after Hurricane Katrina. So we talk about Katrina. There are a lot of events in this story, and you're right. It's a love story, and we talk about a mother's love, and that's why I say this is not just Marquise Hill's story; it's Sherry Hill's story. So, so we're very, I'm super excited. We're both very excited, and all the people that we talk to are really excited about it. We're just trying to make it happen, and so it looks like we have a team right here with with what we just talked about. You, Dr. Blanchard, and you, Dr. Rick, and your friend Tony. Let's have a talk. This.
Yeah, Tony Lindsay. He wrote and produced a movie called Where Hearts Lie, if you look it up.
Okay.
And we definitely will get you all connected, because this may be something that you can do together. And the interesting thing about his production is he wrote and produced it and financed everything himself. Like you said, technology is allowing many of us to go into
our own money and
produce our own music, produce our own content, and the content is very much lacking. And today, I don't know how you feel about it as a producer and writer, but we do need to have more content that is about love and uplifting people instead of tearing down. We see a lot of the shows on now that are just celebrating dysfunction.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And it's unfortunate, and I turn off to it, and so this is one of the reasons why I had to sit down with you two, because of what you're doing. You're encouraging people to their higher selves, aspiring us to do better and get through this tough period, because it's been really, really hard. It's crazy what's going on out in this world, out in these streets.
Lord.
Oh my!
Right.
We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot.
God is really busy.
It's been really difficult. It's been a difficult time for all of us, and unfortunately, with like you mentioned, the people are desperate, and we're promoting fear, and the media promotes fear and violence, and so our kids are, if they've been fed that, subconsciously, consciously, it's in there. It's almost like it's in their DNA, because when you look at, it's hard to turn off from the news, but you look at the news and you see what's going on every single day with our youth. We have to lift each other up, and
I see it every day. I'm an administrator in the 6th largest school system in America, and I see it every day in our schools. It's so toxic. The cell phones and everything just causes a very toxic school climate. So I definitely see it every day in my field.
I know you too.
Right.
In a sense, it's fascinating. I mean, we're in biblical times now. These historical times that we've read about, that we're now living and experiencing. And so, what are we going to do about it? And how are we going to get through these times? And obviously, it's with platforms like yours, and it's with each other, and reaching out and teaching, promoting well-being and health, and those things that you're doing, which is again why I'm here. I didn't have time for this. I got to sit down with these brothers here and say hello, and say I'm with you, and obviously Sherry and I, Sherry is a wonderful friend of mine, and when she asked me, I said, girl, I can't. And she said, well, if you could just come on for a minute and talk. And then I, had a moment to look you guys up. I said, oh, I got to do it. So I pushed some things off and said, I got to sit down with you guys. And so I'm really, I appreciate it. And whenever we can get together again, I love that. And so that's enough of me talking. But I'm just thrilled at what you two are doing, and congratulations.
It's awesome.
Let's keep it going. Keep it
Yeah.
going. The dialogue is
It's-
so
it-
important. It's so
Right.
important, and especially when it's coming from two strong Black men, touching the lives of men. We're in a crisis here, and it's not. I don't want to promote fear, because this is nothing new. We've been going through this from the beginning of time. Really, it's just a new day, and it's the same soup in the pot, and we just got to put some different ingredients in it and make it
Stir it up.
Make it and stir it up and make it better, make it taste better, make it go down.
Make a better gumbo.
And that's right. And it's how you do it. This is how you do it. So,
Bonita, I told him you was born on the same birthday with my son was born on your birthday.
That was a sign. That was a sign.
and I said that I don't believe in coincidences.
Right.
I think that things align for a reason. It's kind of funny because you guys are on a plane similar to the plane that Dr. Blanchard and I have been on for nearly 10 years, where he came in as a supportive voice to me at a time when I was really fighting to push through in the work I was doing. And we became friends and colleagues, and we decided to do things, and we confide in each other, and we tend to go parallel through life. We're experiencing personal things like simultaneously. That's crazy. But you talk about fear and how it's being promoted, and it's purposefully done. There are a lot of things that come out of fear, anxiety, and worry. One of the things is physical illness. Another is mental illness. And we are seeing it play out in real life in real time. And that's something that's happening in our world, thanks to social media and the internet. Now, we get information before the news stations do. It's happening in real time. It's like, you're looking at it. And the problem is, the most beautiful thing I heard Bonita say was what we need to do. See, that's the thing that Sherry did when she lost Marquise, is she did something.
Yes.
When you do something, you take power and you say, okay, I can't control what just happened, but I control how I respond to it.
Yes.
I control how it will impact me.
Yes.
And when I look at parents and study, this is one of the things I do in my focus in trauma, is I look at how people deal with it in different areas. When I look at the area of parents having to bury their children, the ones who thrive are the ones who take action. It becomes a passion. They advocate. If it's something that negatively happened that had something to do with policy or statutes, they're lobbying in Washington. If it's something that happened to do with love, in this instance, it was just simply saying, I'm going to finish the story. And that's powerful. I didn't get to choose when that portion of the story ended, but I get to finish it.
There's so much power. We have just instinct power that we aren't aware of. And if we could teach that in schools, in just everywhere, but it starts in the school and at home, because the power of the breath, if you take a moment and you just breathe through some stuff, it'll make you make a different choice. You don't have to just rush out there and do something haphazardly and commit a crime or commit a wrongdoing. If you just take a moment in that strong power that you have, breathe through it. Breathe. You just learn how to breathe. You would make a different choice in your life. And it's because it doesn't have to be that difficult with the way we feel. And I'm just a witness for what I've been through in my life. Like we all are talking about the things that simultaneously gone through together. Those things, we probably all four of us went through the same exact thing at the same time. not only because we are people of a certain age, but because and the experience that comes with life, but because it's just human nature. And if we just took a minute to just listen to each other and breathe through listening, because sometimes it's hard to listen. It's like you don't want to hear that. But you listen and you breathe through it and you learn from each other and you express that I'm listening. It just makes such a difference. So yeah, it starts with what are we gonna do about this thing that we're in. I was getting some gas and this guy came up to me, he had the teardrops, the tattoo, and he looked menacing, and I asked him how was his day, because he might have been coming to hit me with something. And he looked a little menacing, and I said, how was your day? And his whole thing changed, because he came at me hard. I thought this brother getting ready with my purse. And then I said, how was your day? And what are you going to do today? And I just started talking to him. And then he just started talking to me about him and his mom and that he made some bad choices in his life. I said, well, you can change that like right now. And you don't have to, and just those little tiny things. And that lifted me up just to be able to talk to him. It helped my day.
Right.
Let
me tell you what happened. And I think that, again, when we allow ourselves to be connected to God, God gives us the things to say and do, even when we don't know why. But let me tell you what happened. There's never been anyone more exposed in the world than the African-American woman, but there's never been anyone unseen like the African-American male. We don't exist except for when someone can get something out of us. We are a good football player. We're a good athlete. We have something to add to somebody's growth. Even on a personal level, how much money do you make? If you ain't making we don't see you. We want high value men. And that means you got money. So if you don't have none of those things, you're unseen. And it goes all the way back to Jim Crow segregation, where black men weren't even allowed to look white men in the face. And so what do? We developed this thing when we would pass each other, we would silently give a head nod. What were we saying? I see you. You're not invisible because I see you. And it was our way of acknowledging each other without anyone else knowing what we were doing. And it's how we lifted each other. The moment you spoke to him and asked him how his day was, he felt acknowledged in a world where he feels invisible. In that moment, whatever he was planning on doing, shut down. And that's one of the things when I talk about socialization and when I talk about things, I had somebody challenge me on the effectiveness of socialization, which is one of the most common understood concepts in all of social studies. But anyway, one of the things that I learned is a couple of things when it's coming to dealing with African-American adolescent and young adult male violence. Number one is that you can't necessarily, the number one thing that drives it is the feeling of being disrespected. Well, being neglected, ignored is a form of disrespect to most men. When you act like I'm not standing here, or you don't see me, or you don't understand what I'm going through, you're ignoring me. That's a form of disrespect. When you acknowledge me, it makes me feel heard. That's so powerful. The other thing that blew my mind in my studies and learning and how I personally deal with young boys who at any moment, in any situation in time when I'm doing this, could easily pull a gun and kill me because this is the environment I'm in. Yeah. But what I found is they will get upset. They're hot. They're ready to tangle with the other guy that's there. We may be playing basketball or chess, and all of a sudden something pops up. What I found is just by being recognized as an elder, recognized as someone they actually respect, just by putting my hand on their shoulder. It doesn't necessarily get rid of the anger, but it stops the action.
Yes.
Again, tells me that I don't care where you're at. Most of them can be reached. The problem is we have a tendency of looking at them and actually judging them through the lens of a Eurocentric idea of how they should be behaving and then throwing them away.
Yeah.
Now, some of them need to be put away because they're untouchable. They can't be helped. But a lot of them are begging to be helped and we don't see it. There's an old African saying, and then Doc, I'll let you take it, that says that if if the child can't feel the love of the village, he'll burn it down to feel its warmth.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Word.
And what we don't realize is we got the kids burning the village down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what we want to do is just throw them away to the system. No, we need to feel why. Ask them why they don't feel loved.
That's right.
You know, what happened in a lot of these homes, parents are so hurt, struggling, and trying to figure out things. They don't know how to love because they weren't loved.
And you know what happens in Africa, in the villages, when there's a wayward child that's done some harm or something wrong, you know, have you know, robbed somebody or done something, that it gets back to the village. They bring that child back to the village. They put him in the middle of the village. They surround him. It could be 100 people surrounding him, and they love upon him, and they remind him of who he is and who he came from, and what this village stands for. And they love upon him instead of throwing him away in jail, which they do have jails over there. But they do this first to try to reach this kid.
And I read a story in that same sense, that there's a village in Africa where the moment that a mother finds out she's pregnant, she literally leaves the hut or whatever, and she goes out, and there's this tree. And she sits at this tree, and she comes up with this melody, and she writes this song. And this song is for this child and this child only. Once she gets the melody, she goes back to the village, and she teaches everybody in the village this song. The moment that the child is born, everyone in the village sings the song. Every time, for up until the child is like 5 or 6 years old, he passes by something, they're singing his song. And what happens is this song is telling him he's powerful, or she's powerful, she's beautiful, he's handsome, he's strong, it's giving him and her their identity.
Yes.
And then what happens is when the child grows old and goes wayward, which children do, the village pulls him back in, and they sit him in the middle and they sing the song.
They sing that song.
They remind them of who they are.
Yes.
Well, you got a bunch of children that don't know who they are.
Yeah.
No. And the easy thing is to sit up and say it's too late. And then talk about, oh my God, shaking my head, all the things we love to do when we see the terror that they're reigning.
Yeah.
And what we don't realize is if we don't put a stop to it, there won't be a village.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's awesome.
that's so true.
Dr. Rick, sounds like you spent some time over in Africa. You been there?
Not yet. I'm headed.
All right.
My fear is if I go, I might not come back.
I know.
May not come back.
I got to be careful.
Yeah, because that happens. I'll go over and I say I'll be gone for 2 weeks. It'd be 6 months, and you know.
Yep. Doc?
Miss Bonita, I want to ask you about Doc just talked about overcoming loss and trauma and socializing our young people. I was looking at your bio, and I wanted to ask you what happened to Couch, the BET mental health series, because as I hear him talk, you know, I'm thinking that maybe you might be able to pitch another type series like that on BET.
Oh, you know what?
Help a lot of people, at once. You know,
I would love that. A lot of and thank you for asking that question. You know, a lot of people who so you asked me what happened on the couch. I was an actor on the couch. I played the mom, and something's going on with my screen, so forgive me for because I switched platforms, and so now you're coming in and out, but I think at least you can hear me. But I played the mother. It's a mental health series that's it sounds like you know about the series, and they have 30-minute short films on the series, and I think they're going into their 3rd season now. And I played a mother who tortured her child and berated her child about her weight. My daughter was a beautiful model, and I told her she wasn't thin enough, and it led her to bulimia and mental health issues and anorexia. And so that is what my series was about. But and I played with some incredible actors, and Miriam, I can't pick Miriam's last name. some amazing actors on this. And yes, I would love to pitch some projects and some stories. And some of the people, I have several friends who, actor friends in the industry who've done some other series who say, "Hey, Bonita, did you get to pitch to them yet? Did you send them this? Did you send them that?" So I would really love to do that. So I don't know if your question is asking me specifically, have I, sent in my director's reel, but I haven't. I went in as an actor, and I would love to. We have a million great stories, such as Marquise's story.
Absolutely.
To show that we'd like to, get to the world. So what I may have strayed from your story. You asked me what.
No, I was just wondering, had you thought about BET mental health series where you actually have someone like Dr. Wallace as an actual therapist?
Let's pitch it. I would love that. I would love that because it's very popular now. It's done well. The ratings are good, and they need some stories from YouTube. So hey, I said we got a team right here.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
We have a team right here. This is awesome.
And the thing is, I think that it's important that we talk about it that way, because one of the things I think that we struggle with is individualism. There's so much talent out there, but everybody's trying to do it by themselves, and they're frustrated in their efforts. And we never think about collaborating and coming together, because to be totally honest, we've been conditioned to seek the spotlight because that's the only power we've ever had. So we need to be seen, we need to be out front, and if we can't get the glory, we don't want to be a part of it. And we fell in that. My thing is right now that I'm really pushing hard on is building networks, is building relationships, that when somebody wants something done, we don't have to go to them and ask them permission.
Right.
And when we get to that point, then we start to execute power. Something that my grandfather, I was reared by my great grandfather, who was born in 1909, and he was real simple. He was a son of a sharecropper, and he only had a second grade education, but he had done very well for himself. My great grandmother had owned her own beauty salon for forever. And she did until she passed away. She was 90 something, still in the salon. And she passed away at 93. But the one thing that I wasn't allowed to do was complain. When I would complain, I said, "Well, what have you tried? What have you done? What do you suggest?" And so what happened is I was told, you can actually complain if you can show me what you tried before you came to me complaining. And what I found is the more I sought the solution, the less I complained. And so my thing is finding solutions, finding ways to get things done that mean something to us, that have value to us. And so the more we find where we have control, we produce our own content. We produce that. These are things that are entering into the gates of our people that have the power of shaping their subconscious, which shapes their behavior. Well, we're complaining because of the music. We're complaining because of the horror in the films. And well, what are we going to do about it is the question. We have to go out and come up with ways to make this happen. So that is where I'm looking at is like, yes, we need to connect. We need to stay connected. We need to sit up and come out of our individualism and say, you know what, 4 of us, 6 of us, 8 of us, 10 of us can definitely do more than one of us.
It takes a village. It's so, it does. And that when, that phrase was not coined by, our ex First Lady Clinton, which they said was coined by her, but it's fine that she used it again and again and again. And because it does, it's very important that we all, we continue to build our community. We've been through so much. And we've been pushed to desperate times, but together we can make these different changes. I have a story of my 103-year-old great grandmother who passed in my arms, and the same. We couldn't complain about stuff, and that's what gave us, all of us here. We have similar stories, the drive to do what it is that we do, because each child, you hope, is supposed to do something better than generationally, and that's the system broke. But again, it's nothing new, and that's why we have to stay together and continue doing the work and continue loving up on each other, because it's hard out here. And I got stories now where I'm in the corporate world also, and in my creative world, it keeps me going, it keeps me motivated, it keeps me alive, because when I go back into that boardroom, I'm invisible, but I make myself heard. You have to. And even as the president of the company, sometimes because of the I don't want to get out here and start talking about sexism and racism, even though we know it exists. Yes, it does, but that it's we're used to it. We're a resilient people. And so this is how we can overcome these things, by making sure your voice is heard, making sure you're not invisible. And it just takes a deep breath, one little simple thought that, yes, I can, I'm going to do this. And then it's one step at a time. You can't run a marathon all of a sudden 10 miles. You take one step, you go around the track and you do one lap, and then you do two, and then you do three, and you keep going, and we encourage each other to keep going on this path. But anyway, I could keep going on and talking about this with you guys, because the topic is it's close to my heart, and all of this is very, very, very spiritual for me, and I love it. I love what you guys are doing, and I'm really, really just so blessed to be here with you all, and I gotta go. I know, and I hate to interrupt the thing like that, but somebody's been waiting on me since.
It's okay. We definitely are going to stay in contact with you. One of the reasons I kind of diverted, and Doc kind of diverted, is we knew you had to leave early.
Thank
so
you.
We wanted to get you in and hear everything you had to say. And
I don't think we diverted at all. I mean, we could go on and talk about so many issues, and we're going to continue our dialogue, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. We'll talk. You take care.
You take good care. Thank you, Sherry. We'll talk really soon. And I'm in for one more question if you want. If I hate to just abruptly do that. So,
Doc, what do you got? She got one more question.
You got a question down there from one of our listeners. You want to?
Oh, awesome! I'm in for that.
Okay, it says, Dr. Rick, what do you think about Black society working together and making a system of logistics, meaning coordinating a system that calculates how many tradesmen, collegiate professionals, and citizens, and so forth? And he's been going on, and so it's like a thread. And I just want to put that one thing out there so that we can have a foundation. But basically, it goes to the conversation of what we were talking about owning the responsibility of fixing what's going on in the community by becoming autonomous and understanding the many challenges that we have. One is going to be that we have an entire generation, and maybe two, that have been inundated with false ideologies, inferiority complexes, and so many other things based off of what they've been feeding themselves via music and media and social media, Instagram and all of that. And so I agree that our way out, and Doc, you've heard me say this, is holistic education, that we have to prepare our children early in the game to be able to be prepared and empowered to go out into a world that's inherently hostile towards them, and not just compete, but win. And how do you do that? Well, until we see executed power, we don't believe power exists. We're still waiting on them to fix the problems they created on purpose. And that's not going to happen. So then what do? We have to go out and we have to fix it ourselves. So I guess the question to you is, how do you see yourself contributing to what is necessary, this exchange of information that is opposed in in many ways to what most of these kids out here believing is what reality is.
See, what fascinates me is there is a solution already embedded in every problem. You've said the solution just now. You said it again and again. And it's a cliche to say each one teach one, but when you pass on information, because really there's nothing new under the sun. That's almost a cliche also, but it isn't. This is ancient information that we've had from the beginning of time. If we just tell our kids to read, the curriculums in the school system is broken. So we're not being taught the information that would help us progress. And that's on purpose. Yeah. These are things that you just said. The solution is there. Breathe. Take a moment because it's in us, but nobody is telling us that. Each one teach one. Each one of us have to tell, the next person, like the gentleman at the gas station who I spent an hour talking to, and then gave him a little money, but we exchanged information. He told me about his family. I told him that we had similar things, and it was like, nice meeting you. Go get some lunch on me, and the small things, if we exchange information, because there's nothing new under the sun, it's in the books. We talked about it earlier, living in biblical times, that we are living times that we've read about. So the solution is the problem. And I would, I think exchanging information, which is what you said, and everything that was said in the gentleman's question, the solution was already there, because we have to, build together. And you just passed on some information about your friend Tony, who had some expertise in this situation. And all we have to do is come together and talk. That's the beginning of building our, the co-op existed many years ago, decades ago, when we started a community. And so everybody put their resources together. That's it. And that's what we have to do. And another thing that we have to learn, and you breathe through that, is not judge each other based on, I said earlier when I talked about the gentleman, I saw the guy, I said, okay, where's my purse? Only because I don't do that. Only because the way his eyes were, he was coming after something, but we changed the trajectory of what could have happened. And talking, exchanging information, talking, being seen, being heard is the beginning. And then you exchange and you share your resources. And that's a very easy, simple thing to do. And then you build from there. So, we're talking in simple terms, how we can make this thing happen so that we can rely on each other. It's cooperating with each other. We had the co-ops where we bought food to the building so that everybody who didn't have food could eat. And we just all collectively cooperated with one another. And if you read the history books about when co-ops began, it's all there. It's all there.
Wow. So once again, we definitely thank you for stopping by. You have been a blessing, and I think everybody would agree you have been a blessing to this production. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing to dialogue with you, because I think your input is needed. Definitely your spiritual energy is needed. And we underestimate the power of that. And so I'm looking forward to it. And so we're going to let you duck out and go do what you do. We thank you again. We're looking forward to doing it. And we're going to finish up here with Sherry.
Awesome.
You have definitely been a blessing. Doc,
Awesome.
Anything you want to say before she leaves?
Thank you, Dr. Rick. I appreciate that.
Just that one of the reasons why we started the Teachas was to bring about awareness and to bring grassroots people together to do exactly what that young man said in that question that he asked, which is bring all fields of human endeavor together and work on these issues, whether it's police community relations, which Doc and I have worked on, whether it's in our educational institution, higher education, K through 12, criminal justice. We need to be working together in teams, as you say, Doc. You know, we need to be building those things, those systems to do that. Think tanks, that don't just sit around thinking, that actually do something. You know,
Right.
Yeah. And the action could be just if you take action and you know, simple things and make your bed every day and you know, the habits that we form personally, they will expand out, they change the world, because then you can create another habit and that habit will have a domino effect on your entire environment, and then you teach someone else something. And so hey, I'll keep going, but I just so agree, Dr. Blanchard, with you, Dr. Rick. Dr. Blanchard, let me ask you a question, because I feel like I saw a post of yours. Do you post on LinkedIn?
yes. And I'm laughing because I have a book on post called The Black Book of Lamentations. But yes, I do post quite a bit.
Dr. Rick, do you post on
LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn?
Quite a bit.
Okay, because I haven't. I feel like
he also posts on LinkedIn because I share a lot of his material on LinkedIn. So you certainly probably have seen a lot of his content as well as mine on there.
You felt so familiar. And I was thinking maybe I, you know, ran across. Unfortunately, I am just so horrible at the social media thing, and my presence is very, very, very small there because I just don't have the time, and I don't like saying it, and I don't do it. I want to find the time because sometimes it's really important. But I feel like I scrolled through something. You guys felt really familiar to me. I don't know if it was the vernacular, which I love, the Teachas. Because it reaches a lot of people. It rings, it resonates.
I have to send you the music video for that. I got a music video for that.
Oh, please. Yeah. I love it. And so I just felt really, it felt very familiar to me. Another reason I said, I got to sit down with these brothers here. So I appreciate it very much. Was there any other questions? Then I'm going to run. Look, that's hard to go.
No, we're going to let you go, but we definitely will be following up with you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Take care. You know, much love to you guys, and oneness.
We'll be in touch.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sherry, thank you so much for having Bonita on. Like I said, I was kind of up in the air about having her on with you because you all had such extensive backgrounds, but everything turned out really well, and got a lot of good information in a short period of time from you and both her. We're going to keep in contact with you. Anything you need as far as a resource, Dr. Rick and I are here. You know,
also, for everybody, the link to get Sherry's books is in the description box.
Okay.
And it'll take you to her website, and you can get a lot more information about it. I am absolutely 100% in support of what she's done. There's a blueprint for healing in this.
Absolutely.
That I am absolutely enamored with. And also there is resources for healing.
Absolutely.
In this. And I think that it's a beautiful thing. And like I said, there's a reason I have an affinity for New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so
food is one.
I can't deny that. But also the love and the way you're engaged when you're down there. I have not had, I'm pretty sure people have, but I haven't had a bad experience when I go into a restaurant.
Right.
I'm engaged. I'm met, like they know me, you know, and it's like, hey, you know, all right, I don't know you, but okay, I'm coming in. What you got? You know. And
oh my God, if you had have met my mom, Lord have mercy, she'd have took you to the mountain and you've been looking over the promised land.
Hey, I know that's right, but and that's
I'm
one of the
planning
things
on
that.
working on her cookbook. That's what I'm working on now.
All right, then we got to do that. I'll come. I'll be a taste tester. I'm volunteering.
Yeah,
But something my grandmother used to say all the time. She says, "I've never met a stranger."
right,
Every time we bring somebody over to the house, like, hey, and she'll hug them and kiss them and say, "Excuse
right.
me, but I've never met a stranger." And you
Right.
get that vibe in New Orleans, and so uh, look, I mean, I love what we were able to do. I'm hoping to have you back on because I want to see where this is going, and what happens. And there's so much out there, and I actually want to be a part of it. I want to give whatever I can give to advancing what it is you're trying to do because there's so much. Although Marquise has been gone for so long, there's still so much he's doing. And when I think about what I heard when I put the fillers out, trying to fill out who he was and get an idea, is he did a bunch of big stuff that everybody's going to remember because it made the papers. But I bet if you get into the lives of the people who were just around him, it's the small things
Yeah.
that laid the foundation that people remember because he was genuinely who he was. And to me,
Right.
that's how I hope that, people remember him. And I know that's probably how you hope he remembers, that he was just a guy who loved. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, he didn't get to spend an entire life as we do it. But sometimes people live an entire life in a very short period of time because they take advantage of the opportunities to have an impact. And he's one of those people. So once again, thank you for sharing his story and your story, which is phenomenal as well. And like I said, from where I'm sitting, I'm hoping to have you on again.
Well, next year, this will be the last year for my grandson. He's 6'11".
Wow.
So he has offers to Stanford, Harvard, and Princeton, and probably 30, 40 more. But I think he's trying to compete with his dad. So I don't know how many scholarships he will have, but he decided to go to the basketball. So I think that's going to be another story, what I'm saying, because they already writing. Huh?
Absolutely. What is his name so we can look out for him?
And believe it or not, my son named him part of my name and his name, Mashai.
Wow. Okay.
Looked like it was a planned thing. I don't know. But his name is Shai Hill.
Okay.
Okay.
He's in Austin. So you in Houston, right?
I'm in Houston.
Dr. Rick? Yes.
Yeah, I'm in Houston.
Yeah, well, his mother and my son was not together at the time of the accident.
Okay.
But he was 2 years old when this happened. So I think my son will be gone 15 years. So he's about 17 now.
Okay.
He'll be turning 17. His birthday just passed. No, his birthday coming up.
Okay.
My grandfather was born at the end of August. My grandson at the end of August. My son born at the beginning of August. My dad born at the beginning of August. How did that come with coincidence?
It happened.
Huh?
I'd say it's crazy how some things happen.
4 generations born in August. 2 at the beginning, two at the end. Well, okay then. Well, it was an enjoyment to be on the show, and y'all doing an awesome job. I really enjoyed it, and it's my nephew really dived into you all that y'all was talking about them contracts. He all in that, boy. He was up all night looking at y'all shows with the guy talking about whoever that was with the contract.
Right. Yeah. Roger Grant.
Well, see, that's where he's been going to court 6 years.
Wow.
With no lawyer. And we tried to go on Monday. They arrested him with no evidence, set him in jail for 2 years, raped and all.
Yeah,
so
definitely put him in contact with me directly. So get my information from Dr. Blanchard, and you guys contact me directly. I want to find out what's going on with it. I want to be involved.
Okay. I'll get it from you, Dr. Blanchard, here.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch on everything.
Matter of fact, we're going Monday. This is the 6th. We going into the 6th year.
Okay.
Okay.
That says a lot right there, but
Going to court, no trial, no nothing. It was sentence without a trial. Kind of stuff is that? All right.
okay, so we will be talking, and everybody, thank you guys for tuning in and staying with us. We definitely went over, but I think it was more than worth it. We're going to continue to try to bring you empowering content through empowered minds. And on that note, once again,